so a lot of the benefit is we're missing these frequencies. So we're getting this like hammer of blue light hitting us all day long. And that causes free radicals in the body. And free radicals are fine. Like they're a signal. There's blue light in the sky, but then there's red and infrared to mitigate that. And inside, we never get that mitigation. So getting under a red light panel or a red light sauna or infrared sauna, you're mitigating like all that blue light toxicity that we're exposed to all day long.
Okay, guys, got Thaddeus here in Las Vegas. There's a lot of light going around, so hopefully you'll be all right, man.
We'll make it through.
Yeah. I know you talk about light. I saw you on Alex Clark's show, and you were talking about the different types of light. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, so there's so many types of light, and we only know a small percentage, right? So like the visible light that we can see is like 1 to 2% of the whole spectrum of light that our body is tuned to naturally.
Wow. So we only know 1 to 2% of light?
That's the only amount of visible light that comes from the sun. And even the visible light, red, yellow, green, blue, all of those colors have an effect on our biology. And all of the colors we can't see have an effect on our biology. So ultraviolet, can't see it, infrared, but we know they have an impact, right? Because ultraviolet can cause us to get a tan or a sunburn, totally invisible. And there's spectrums way beyond those that we probably don't even know about because we can't measure them yet.
I didn't realize how quite powerful light was until I got a red light sauna.
So red light is one of the, like we're here under these crazy studio lights, right? And so I like to say that we're a light poisoned culture. We're actually, as far as I know, I invented this term called weapons of mass illumination because all these lights that we are under all the time, like you can't technically opt out of these lights other than like putting on these crazy blue light blocking glasses, right? But what we're missing under these lights, once we switched everything to red and infrared, once we switched everything to LED lights, we lost red and infrared from our spectrum indoors. And we don't have any ultraviolet indoors. So like, why do red light saunas and why do red and infrared light panels have such a benefit to where like everybody in the NBA is using them? Every trainer in the NFL wants their players using red light panels as well, because we're missing those frequencies. They have a huge impact on our body. And what they do is they mitigate all this blue light that we're under all day long. And so a lot of the benefit is we're missing these frequencies. So we're getting this like hammer of blue light hitting us all day long. And that causes free radicals in the body. And free radicals are fine. Like they're a signal. There's blue light in the sky, but then there's red and infrared to mitigate that. And inside, we never get that mitigation. So getting under a red light panel or a red light sauna or infrared sauna, you're mitigating like all that blue light toxicity that we're exposed to all day long.
That makes so much sense why I feel it noticeably, because I'm under these lights 6 hours a day, 2-3 days a week. And then when I get home and hit the red light sauna, I feel incredible.
These lights are pretty powerful, blue light spectrum. So if you had a spectrometer and you measure like this huge spike of blue light causing, like some people now are using, they call it sunscreen, but it's actually blue light screen. So they make like a cosmetic or a sunscreen product just for blue light, because what they're showing is the blue light alone can cause something called melasma, which is like a color change in the skin, a pigmentation of the skin, caused not from sun damage, but from so much blue light that we're around. Wow. So like the best thing you could do like in an environment like this is add infrared, because it's invisible. So like infrared's totally missing from these lights, but it's invisible, so it's not going to mess with your studio lighting at all. And it's going to be part of the mitigation of all this blue light that you're
That is crazy. So if you're under the wrong lights all day, it could really be damaging to the body.
I mean, you hear people like Dr. Tom Cowan, and they're like, all these people are getting cancer and they're getting sick. And most people are like, how can we fix it with pills? But the first question that you ask if you had an aquarium and the fish get sick is like, who put poison in the water? Well, if we're light poisoned from all this blue light, like, yes, it's causing a huge problem in our society from this one wavelength of light that we get without anything else backing it up. So outdoors in nature, our biology is tuned to light. So all the colors of light are read through different aspects of our biology. So like blue light and even ultraviolet light are read through our eye outdoors. Our body can read how much blue light there is. And then when it sees the blue light, it destroys melatonin in the body. And melatonin is what helps us sleep and get the benefits of sleep. So at night when we're sleeping, this melatonin is a conductor of 10 additional hormones in the body, and it's the master antioxidant. So if you think about like we're exposed to fluoride and we're exposed to EMF and we're exposed to all sorts of poisons from glyphosate, like what's cleaning those up? It's antioxidants like melatonin, which is the most potent antioxidant known to man, and we're destroying it under all these blue lights.
Wow, I didn't know melatonin was an antioxidant.
It is. It is an anti-cancer. It cleans up damaged cells, so it allows us to repair and rejuvenate when we sleep, and it is literally the most potent antioxidant that we know about.
That's crazy. Wow.
It's huge.
We're also on our phone 8 hours a day on average, so that's probably not helping.
The phone between, as you're well aware, the electromagnetic frequency from the microwave radiation, but also the phones have a lot of flicker from the LED diodes. So what people have realized is we have swapped out traditional lighting, which would have been firelight, and then halogen and incandescent somewhat, but not exactly mimic a little bit more like firelight. These LEDs are a completely alien spectrum. So I call it like ALS, which I know is probably like an acronym for a disease, but alien light spectrum. So all day long, we're under this alien light spectrum where we get these different spikes of light that the body is not used to seeing and being under all day long. And because our body is literally tuned to the sun, so we know about circadian rhythm. So I know you've heard of like how important circadian rhythm is. And it's really just like a 24-hour cycle that the body goes through. It's built into our biology, and it sets what we're hungry for, the foods we crave, whether we gain weight, and whether we get good sleep or not. And that is set by light and dark, specifically by blue light and darkness. So when we see blue light, like from the phone, which is an LED device, so are all your devices at home, whether it's your television, your tablets, the overhead lights, all those are LED lights. They all have a ridiculously high amount of blue light, and that is changing your circadian rhythm every single time you see it. Darkness is the only thing that starts the repair. So when we see morning sunlight, we start our circadian rhythm for the day, and we set our melatonin clock to give us that master antioxidant at night. And when we see darkness, we start the repair function of melatonin. But because our culture, I call like the weapons of mass illumination, we never turn out the lights. It is always light. Whether you've got LED chargers, whether it's past sunset and you want to have the television on, or you want to cook dinner at 9 o'clock at night, we can all do that nowadays. And that's stopping that darkness cycle from completing our circadian rhythm to the point where we do the repair and rejuvenation.
Jeez, light poisoning. I'm gonna start using that term.
It's legit, like especially these phones, right? Because we not only keep them on us 24/7, but we sleep with them too.
Yep.
And so like first thing you do in the morning, or even if it's 2 a.m. and you can't sleep, you turn that phone on. And I mean, like even the new iPhone, it is blasting you with so much blue light. And then people think like, oh, I can dim the brightness. You're not changing the spectrum on your phone. It's still a ton of blue light, even though you dim it. And the iPhones used pulse wave modulation. It just basically means like when you dim your iPhone, it flickers more, which causes stress in the brain, which then makes it so you can't sleep as well anyway.
Wow, that's crazy. So get this thing out of your bedroom, guys.
You know what? Even if you keep your phone in your bedroom, you can do that, but don't look at your phone as the first thing you do. So like put it on airplane mode, and then it can still be your alarm clock. It will still work. People kind of freak out. They're like, if I put my phone in airplane mode, it can't work as an alarm. It totally works as an alarm in airplane mode. It doesn't do anything.
As long as you have Wi-Fi, right?
You don't need it. No.
Oh, you don't need Wi-Fi?
Don't even need that.
Oh,
nope.
wow.
You don't need Bluetooth. You don't need Wi-Fi, and you do not need your cell service on whatsoever. Your alarm on your phone will still work. You won't get a phone call, but your alarm to wake you up still works fine. And the other thing I always tell people is either keep a pair of blue light blocking glasses like next to your bed when you actually look at your phone, because as soon as you blast yourself with blue light at 2 a.m, that's going to wake you up, and it can stop your melatonin production for up to 4 more hours, which might be as much as you're going to sleep.
That's nuts.
So either put on a pair of blue light blocking glasses and look at your phone, or just get like a battery powered red LED clock that you can put in your bedroom, because the red is not going to stop your melatonin. It's battery powered, so there's no EMF from the electricity, no magnetic field from the electric field from the electricity going into it. And then you don't have to turn your phone on to see what time it is.
I just went to the eye doctor. They actually make contacts that block blue light now too.
Really?
Yeah.
What about ultraviolet light in the contacts?
I'll find out. I'm not sure.
So the one thing that I always encourage people to check with their contacts is find out if they block ultraviolet light. Because most contacts by default, and as far as I'm aware, there's 2 brands that I don't know the name of contacts that don't block ultraviolet light. So when we go outside, we need ultraviolet light because our body reads the time of the day, the time of the year, and how much UV is in the sun to know how much melanin to make on our skin to protect ourselves. So when you block all the UV light, like with glasses, contacts, or sunglasses, your brain doesn't read how much UV there is, and we can get sunburned faster. But also reading the time of the year helps us determine like, when should we be gaining or losing weight? When should we be fertile? So we have a lot of people with infertility issues. A lot of that is from covering themselves up from the sunlight and only operating in an alien spectrum where we spend 95% of our time indoors, and 5% of our time, oddly enough, is driving time, and that's counted as outdoor time, which I would argue most people are not keeping their windows and sunroof open.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that outdoor time at all.
No. So if you can, look at your contacts and find a contact maker that can put the blue light coating in, but if they cannot put a UV coating in.
Not put it in.
Yep.
Okay.
It's really important to get ultraviolet light and dawn, so like sunrise sunlight in our eyes, because it sets a melatonin clock for 16 hours later. So if you want to produce melatonin at night when you go to sleep, the first thing you want to do when you get up is not grab your phone and look at it, but to get outside and see the natural sunlight. Within 30 minutes of dawn would be ideal. But if you get up at noon because you slept really late, then getting outside first thing sets that melatonin clock for 16 hours later, which means it could be 4 a.m. before your body starts to release melatonin based on when you get outside. And if you've got contacts, glasses, or sunglasses on, you don't read the signals the same way, and the clocks get totally confused.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever wear sunglasses again.
Sunglasses, so this is really interesting. I learned this recently.
Shout out to today's sponsor, Quince. As the weather cools, I'm swapping in the pieces that actually gets the job done, that are warm, durable, and built to last. Quince delivers every time with wardrobe staples that'll carry you through the season. They have fall staples that you'll actually want to wear, like the 100% Mongolian cashmere for just $60. They also got classic fit denim and real leather and wool outerwear that looks sharp and holds up. By partnering directly with ethical factories and top artisans, Quince cuts out the middleman to deliver premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. They've really become a go-to across the board. You guys know how I love linen and how I've talked about it on previous episodes. I picked up some linen pants and they feel incredible. The quality is definitely noticeable compared to other brands. Layer up this fall with pieces that feel as good as they look. Go to quince.com/DSH for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. They're also available in Canada too.
Sunglasses were invented in the 1920s. And
Wow.
They were invented for movie stars under studio lighting, like these lights. So the lighting for movie stars was so bright, and there were no such thing as sunglasses. So their eyes were used to native sunlight. And when they came indoors, they were used to dim light or firelight. And these studio lights were so bright, they started wearing sunglasses. So this really smart guy, his name was Sam Foster, he's like, if everyone wants to look like a movie star, I'm going to make sunglasses for everybody. So sunglasses were never invented for health or even for outdoors. They were invented for movie stars indoors, and then for all the normal people to look like movie stars.
Wow, I never knew that.
They were totally
So it's purely an
indoor
aesthetic
lights,
thing.
for sure.
Holy
now,
crap.
that's not to say like if you're skiing and you're on snow all day long, or you're on the water all day, that you might need to protect your eyes from some UV. I wouldn't wear them all the time on the water, but that might be the only time I would say like you might want to wear sunglasses to protect your eyes. But otherwise, like we talk about, Bill Gates and all these, and Harvard University have these plans to dim the sun. And like, oh my gosh, that might be really bad if we dim the sun. Like, what happens to the plants and the animals and the humans if we dim sunlight? It can't be good. Well, that's what we're doing when we put sunglasses on, is we're dimming the sunlight that's coming into our own body. And when we see so much dim light, what happens is we start craving carbohydrates, and then we put on more weight. So there's all these unintended consequences that's happening when people put on sunglasses, when in fact their eyes are sensitive to the sun because they're indoors for 95% of the time, and when they're outdoors, they're wearing sunglasses.
Why is it whenever I see Bill Gates' name lately, it's something with a weird health thing? Like, I didn't even know he was doing that, but it's just like, why? Now he's trying to make vegan meat or whatever too.
Yeah, lab-grown meats.
Butter, vegan butter.
I see all these legal notices come through my desk, and I do a lot with corporate law in my main job. And I see a ton of stuff on lab-grown meat where it's being approved and not approved, and the names they're allowed to use. And in some cases, they can call it like cultured chicken. So you think like, that sounds really good, but cultured chicken means it was grown in a lab.
Wow.
And so trying to figure out like, what do we name some of these alternative meats is really important, because somebody that doesn't want to eat lab grown meat might just go to the store and grab something that has the word chicken on it, and it's not even real meat.
How are they making those meats though?
They're grown from cell lines. So they culture cell lines from some sort of either animal or stem cell. And then they have a method to grow from those original cell lines other compounds. Wow. So like if you've ever heard of people in the vaccine space, right, that they use these immortal genes. They're like these cancer genes from one lady that they grow something that goes into the vaccine from those cancer genes from one lady originally.
Oh, wow.
They don't use the human genes or the human cells themselves, but they use those cells to produce a protein that goes into a vaccine. We can do the same thing, not we, someone else can do the same thing with other animal cells, where they can culture those cells to grow specific proteins that you can then blow up into actual meats that are probably made from something like bacteria and yeasts, but they use the right proteins to taste like a chicken or a beef or whatever.
Have you tried it?
I have not, nor will I probably in the future.
Sounds sketchy to me. I don't know.
You know, like with all that new stuff, it's like, do you want to be the first person to experiment with it?
No, I'm not getting Neuralink on myself.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yet, at least.
No long-term studies yet?
No long-term studies. Maybe in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, when people have gone through enough time that you're like, okay, are these things safe? What are the long-term consequences? I mean, it's just like LED lights. Yeah. Like, are the LED lights all around us a science experiment, essentially? Because we've never lived under such an alien spectrum.
We don't know the long-term effects yet.
We don't know. For all of human history, what have we seen at night? Firelight and moonlight or darkness. Nothing else. There's nothing that we've seen until the incandescent, when we electrified the light bulb back in the early 1900s. And then by 1950, we had electrified and lit up almost everybody's home in the U.S. So only since about 1950, 1960 have we even had indoor lighting from electric light bulbs.
Wow.
And now we changed every one of those electric light bulbs when we banned incandescents to LEDs with these completely alien spectrums that were never intended to heal us. They were not intended to be healthy. They were intended to allow us to work longer into the night, so factory owners could run 3 shifts. So they were intended for us to see so we could do a task, never intended to help us with health. And in fact, they are destroying our health the more that we're under them.
So you can't buy into incandescent anymore.
So they were banned for a short time based on the U.S. federal government. And now there is no longer a ban on incandescent, but they are almost impossible to buy. So we were at a conference in Salt Lake City last week, and I had a gentleman come up to our booth and he said, "Where do I get incandescents?" Because he claimed that he would go to every garage sale ever and just buy every incandescent he could see, because there's nowhere to buy them now.
Wow.
So they might not even be illegal anymore, but you cannot find them.
So the manufacturers stopped making them?
They stopped making them. As far as I can tell, they don't make them in the U.S. So if you can find a source overseas where you can find incandescents, they're still available, but it is not easy to get your hands on them.
I'm going to go on Alibaba when I get home.
Exactly. So they'll make them for you for sure. You have to be careful when you go on Alibaba or even AliExpress, right?
A lot of scams, yeah.
There's a lot of scams, and they'll say Edison incandescent bulbs, but they'll be LED. So you really have to look to make sure you're actually getting a real incandescent. And another story that someone told me is they went into these catacombs under New York City where they keep like really wealthy people's remains for hundreds of years. They've kept them in these underground crypts. And they're using an Edison bulb from 100 years ago to light these crypts, and it has never gone out. It's the same bulb. So we think like Edison bulbs don't last very long, but that's because the ones we typically buy at the store are made to not last very long, and same with the LEDs. But even an Edison bulb can be low energy like an LED and last for 100 years.
Holy crap.
So according to what's under New York City in the catacombs, it is possible to run an Edison bulb almost forever.
That is nuts.
It's amazing because there's all this technology out there that we could be using that's not as altered a spectrum. It almost makes you wonder, like, why are we using these LEDs that are such an alien spectrum, and why did we put them, I mean, everywhere, every device,
every they only last like 3 months. Then you got to replace them.
Exactly. And it's over the whole world. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in Europe, if you're in the airplane, if you're at home, if you're at the gym, it's all the same bulbs now. And another thing that people don't know about those bulbs that I think is fascinating, I don't know if other people do, but they emit microwave radiation.
Whoa.
So it's like, since when does LED bulb emit microwave radiation? But if you look at every LED bulb package, it will say FCC certified. That's the Federal Communications Commission. Why do they have to be certified to meet FCC standards? Because they give off microwave radiation from an LED bulb, and it could interfere with pacemakers that are installed in the body.
Holy crap.
Most people have no idea that when they put these LEDs everywhere in their home, if they're sensitive to EMF, that they're creating more EMF from the bulbs themselves.
That is nuts. I literally got rid of my microwave a couple years ago. I didn't even think about light bulbs emitting microwaves.
Yeah, most people have never heard of that, but you can look it up, and each bulb has to be certified to not emit a certain microwave frequency that interferes with things like pacemakers. So it's totally something that people are unaware of. And I think like you put these LED bulbs right by your head and by your nightlight, right? And they're just emitting sometimes this microwave energy that you need to at least be aware of that. The other thing that I've been told with the LED bulbs is it's really easy to embed like cameras, but also use the microwave frequency for communications. So if you know the frequencies that are being emitted by LEDs, you can utilize those like the Wi-Fi router in your house to visualize what's inside of your home. So if you've ever seen like renderings of somebody's Wi-Fi router, showing them what the inside of a home looks like just from the Wi-Fi router itself, that is something that's possible. So I always at least tell people, if you have a Wi-Fi router and you use Wi-Fi, turn it off when you go to sleep.
That is nuts. You can know what someone's house looks like just from the light.
That is because the Wi-Fi is a microwave radiation signal, which most people don't know this. It's the same signal as your microwave. So if you open up your microwave oven, somewhere inside your door, or maybe on the back of your microwave, but often it's inside the door, there's a sticker, and it tells you the frequency your microwave runs at. It's 2.45 gigahertz. That's just the pulse wave frequency that those microwaves come out at. If you look on the back of your Wi-Fi router, it also states 2.45 gigahertz. It's the exact same as your microwave oven. And so it's the same frequency, it's just lower intensity. So it's kind of like when you dehydrate something in your microwave, if you cook a steak in your microwave and it gets dehydrated. This is a famous quote from like Dr. Jack Kruse. You're basically dehydrating your cells all day long with a Wi-Fi router. And that microwave radiation is a light. So as we talked about full spectrum sunlight, there are microwaves that come off the sun. It's just that those microwaves in the frequency that our cell phones and our Wi-Fi run at, they never reach the earth. So in your home, when you put in that Wi-Fi, it is a light, and that light, if somebody taps it appropriately, can be utilized to visualize what's in the rooms of your home.
Wow.
Which is insane to me. Like, people can spy on you, not only from the camera on your phone or the Alexa that you install, but also just your Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's definitely being weaponized, I bet.
I can only imagine it will come out later, because it's just like the cell phones, when now it seems like everybody knows you should cover your cell phone camera, because anybody can utilize that camera without you knowing that it's on. And then they can download that data into an app that's active once you reconnect to the internet. And now I think what will come out later is a lot of these Wi-Fi routers are being used to map people's homes for whatever reason. Maybe it's a good reason, maybe it's not. But if you don't want that happening, maybe like shut your Wi-Fi router off when you sleep, and you'll probably sleep better anyway.
Yeah, you probably will. Between the Wi-Fi and the 5G towers next to your house and the light pollution, and
hopefully you're not living next to a 5G tower.
Yeah.
The good thing about 5G is it doesn't penetrate most homes. It can move through glass, but if it's true 5G, which I would say most of the 5G towers that are installed today are not using true 5G.
Okay.
They're using 4G LTE advanced, which can move through your home, and it goes through walls. But 5G is such an incredibly strong directed beam of energy that the way that it runs, it doesn't pass through solid walls. It'll pass through windows. And if you have a device like your cell phone that you're calling for 5G to come to your cell phone, through a window, it'll go to your cell phone, and then it can go throughout your house to other devices.
Wow.
But it won't just pass through like a normal wall.
Oh, so it's not as strong as 4G.
It is more powerful in terms of the energy that passes through you when it goes through your body. But because of the wavelength, it's not able to penetrate walls as easily as 4G. So 4G is a lower energy EMF, a lower energy microwave, but it can pass through walls, and it's always on. 5G is not always on. So true 5G is only turned on when your phone calls for it to be pulsed towards your phone. 4G LTE is always on, and it passes through walls. So I would say, like, even though 4G is not as intense as 5G, it might be more dangerous because A, it's always on, and B, it's passing through all the walls of your house all the time.
That is interesting. When did you come out with the book? Was it recently?
So this book is a kind of like a rewrite of what I made earlier. So earlier I wrote the first version of the book. So maybe 3 years ago. And so this version just came out the beginning of this year.
Got it.
And it's basically the ketogenic hibernation diet. So the whole book is about how we have lost winter in our society. So not only do we not turn out the lights, right? We keep the lights on 24/7, especially here in Vegas.
Yeah.
But at your home, when the sun sets, it could be 4:30 in Wisconsin where I live. When the sun sets, we're not going to bed at 4:30. So in the winter, when the sun sets early and we turn all the lights on, we start having a circadian mismatch, which causes problems in the body. In addition, we live at room temperature all year round. All year round, it's like 72 degrees. So your car, your home, the gym, work, wherever you are is 72. And if we're 95% of our time now indoors, we never experience a temperature fluctuation in our body, which means our body constantly thinks that it's summer. And by turning lights on after sunset, we think it's the long days towards the end of summer, and we should be storing fat and craving sugar for a coming winter. But winter never comes, so we never get a break from eating carbohydrates, from craving sugars, and from having the lights on. And that can cause a lot of chaos in the body. So my whole book is written about people that live in a northern climate. How can we actually allow winter to come in to our bodies by getting cold once in a while, by eating a ketogenic diet, not all the time, but just for a short time in the winter when carbohydrates wouldn't normally be available, and by sleeping more in the winter than you would in the summer. And the theory is that you can reverse a lot of things that you've done to yourself during the summertime.
Interesting.
Including eating a ton of sugars that can lead to prediabetes. If you're getting cold and you're not eating a bunch of carbohydrates and you're sleeping more, maybe you can reverse all those things in the winter.
You're supposed to sleep more in the winter, though.
I honestly think that if you look at all of our history, so in 1910, men and women slept 500 hours more a year than they do today.
Wow.
And that's because we have lights on all the time. And so those lights cause our cortisol to be higher. Anytime we turn on light with this huge spike of blue, we're increasing cortisol and destroying melatonin. So we get more stressed, so we're not as tired. So we stay up longer. And then we feel like we're a night owl and we need to do more work. But in fact, like every study shows, there's no such thing as a night owl for a man or a woman. For an owl, a rat, or a mouse, they do have nocturnal biology. We don't. So anytime we act as if we're night owls and stay up long into the night, there's a cost to our biology. And in winter, it gets darker earlier, especially if you live somewhat north of the equator. And likely our ancestors, as we've seen with the study on how many hours they slept in 1910, we would sleep more in the winter because it's just darker for longer. And if we sleep more in winter, we're producing more melatonin. And more melatonin is the master antioxidant. And I call it the master anti-cancer hormone as well, because it's cleaning up damaged cells while we sleep. So should we sleep more in winter? Absolutely. Does it make it easy in a modern society to sleep more in winter? Probably not, but you can do it. I mean, we sleep on average 6 to 7 hours in the summer, and at least my wife and I do. And in the winter, we sleep between 8 to 12 hours a night.
Holy crap.
There's a way to do it.
12 hours? That's impressive.
So there's a book called Lights Out by T.S. Wiley. And she studied this impact of artificial light at night on men and women and how much you crave sugar and carbs. And her contention is that you should sleep as much as possible in the winter without getting fired or divorced. So if you can sleep as much as you can without doing those two things, that's what you're supposed to do in the winter.
12 is impressive. You got to be taking melatonin, right?
No. So here's
don't?
the thing. So melatonin is $1 billion industry, right? And the reason it's $1 billion industry is because we've totally messed up our light environment. So you can produce your own melatonin if you're not exposed to so much blue light after dark. And after dark in the winter is a much longer period of time, which means you can produce way more melatonin in the winter naturally. So if you do this naturally by blocking the blue light at night, or at least having darkness before you go to sleep for at least 2 hours before you go to bed, but ideally for as long as it's dark out, you will produce way more melatonin, which will let you sleep a lot longer.
Wow. I need to get those blackout curtains for my bedroom.
Blackout curtains are key. Having a primal sleeping environment. So cold, dark, and no EMF. Like those are the main criteria if you want to get better sleep. And then making sure that you're not exposed to too much light before sleep, because that's going to increase your stress and destroy the melatonin, which repairs you when you sleep.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to eat right before, right?
There's been quite a large number of studies that show that people that eat after dark, not even right before bed, but people that eat after dark gain significantly more weight than people that only eat during the light hours of the day. So you don't want to be shoving a bunch of energy and calories into your cells when they're trying to sleep. They're trying to use the energy to rejuvenate and repair while you sleep. And if you just ate a big meal, now they have to totally change what it is that they're doing, and you lose all that time to rejuvenate and repair. There's actually a study recently, I think it was in 2014, that had 2 different sets of mice. And one set of mice had a certain amount of food, so they tracked the calories they ate, and a certain amount of exercise. They tracked how many calories they expended. The second set of mice, same thing. They fed them the exact number of calories as the first set and had them exercise the exact same amount. So same calories in, same calories out. One set of mice was exposed to 24 hours a day of light, and one set of mice had 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness. The mice that had 24 hours a day of light were obese, and the mice that had 12 hours a day of darkness were normal weight.
Really?
The only difference was the light, not how much they ate and not how much they exercised.
Holy crap.
So light is a drug, and the amount of light that you get in your body of the wrong type can absolutely dictate how much weight you gain, what food you crave, and what weight your body wants to keep.
It's starting to add up for me. I used to always think it was the food system, but when you see photos of people on the beach in the 60s, 70s, no one was overweight.
There's a lot of factors, right? So like light back then, they didn't have any LEDs, right? They got more sleep than we did, so they had more melatonin around. They were mostly, I don't know how they ate their meals, but most people had family dinners and did things together during the light hours and did sleep a lot more when it was dark. The food system was better back then because in 1950, you didn't have to have organic because everything was organic. They just didn't use the same pesticides and herbicides that they do now because they didn't exist. So there are a lot of things that are against us now, from our air, our water, our food supply, and our lighting. I mean, you got to really take care of yourself a little bit differently now than you had to in the past.
Absolutely. I'm sure your work's censored all over the place.
So one of the things that I find odd is a place where I'm censored that I shouldn't be is in the community that researches food and exercise.
Oh, really?
So like these food and exercise scientists and researchers, they don't want to look at light, because if light can act as a drug, then it invalidates all of their studies on diet and exercise.
Because they don't factor it in.
They don't factor it in, which means if you're not factoring in light, and we know that it acts as a drug because the Johns Hopkins study on those mice proved that it acts as a drug and it can cause you to become obese from the light. What light environment are their test animals under when they're testing food and exercise? So not only there, we were recording a podcast back in late 2020 and Facebook totally just like shut off the sound.
That was peak censorship too.
It's
2020.
It was. I had no idea. Facebook said that we were playing music that was copyrighted, but we were just having a conversation like this. No music turned on. So it's been interesting.
That was a rough year, man. You brought up vaccines. You brought up anything controversial in the health industry. You were getting censored.
Totally. And it's been hard for us to recover even to this day. Like some of our stuff is still shadow banned to where they don't show it to as many people.
Wow.
And I think if you're telling people about natural things, like even on YouTube, you're not allowed to talk about sunlight being able to heal anything.
No way.
You can't say that on YouTube.
Holy
They
crap.
will either bury or ban your video. And we've had banned videos on YouTube for things that were totally natural. And they just, I don't know why. Either they think that there's not enough data, but there have been numerous studies, including like in Sweden, the Karolinska Institute, super famous Swedish institute, Oxford University, and I think it was Loma Linda University in the US, have all done studies that show that people that are outside the most live the longest. And that's sunlight healing people, essentially. But you can't say that on YouTube.
Yeah. You could say nature's healing, but once you mentioned sunlight.
For some reason, yeah. And there's studies that prove it. So I'm not quite certain why that policy came about on YouTube, but sunlight is legit. And our body uses it because in 2017, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was given to 3 scientists who they say discovered, although it's been known for decades, that the circadian rhythm based on light has everything to do with our health. That was the Nobel Prize in medicine. It's not like information that's like conspiracy whatsoever.
Yeah, interesting. What do you think of Brian Johnson's sunlight strategy?
I think I would not be following Brian Johnson's sunlight strategy. So that dude is afraid of the sun.
Yeah.
And every study that's been done shows that the more sun you have, the less you die from all causes, like all causes. So if those studies are showing that, I'm not quite certain why he's so afraid of the sun. It seems like you'd want more sun. And even if you're not getting direct sunlight, just being outdoors in the shade gives you an intense benefit from the sun, even without being directly in it. So his strategy of covering up, he uses chemicals to cover up. I think you should always cover up with clothes, not chemicals, if you're going to cover up, right? But I mean, he's using umbrellas. He's doing all sorts of things to never get in the sun. And I just think that's not a very well thought out strategy.
Yeah, he uses sunscreen. Granted, it is mineral based, which is probably the one to use if you're going to use it, right? But I'm not a fan of most sunscreens.
I mean, you're covering up with chemicals, not clothing. You can cover up with clothing just fine, and it blocks the sun. Same with a hat, if you want to do that, versus chemicals. And just like what we were putting in our water, like these PFAS chemicals, like perfluoroalkyl substances, right? We put PFAS in the water, and for 30 years, they were fine. Like nobody cared. We were all drinking it. And now it's a toxin, and it's a known toxin, and they had to remove it from all the water. So same with sunscreen. You're putting these chemicals on your body that today, they don't know if they're safe or not. They think they are, but tomorrow they might find a chemical in there and say, oh, all that stuff you put on your body forever, it's not so safe. So my first thing is, yes, if you're going to use something to block the sun, clothing first before chemicals, and then the mineral-based sunscreens make a huge deal of sense versus chemical-based sunscreens.
What do you think of the GLP-1 shots? A lot of people are taking those now, right?
So people are microdosing them. People are full on taking the GLP-1 shot. And essentially, there's a couple things that I'm seeing. One is like, you're now a laboratory experiment because there's no long-term studies on what happens when you stop taking it. And it seems like people that stop taking it have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And so are you now on this drug forever? And what are the long-term consequences of being on this forever? I just don't really think we know. What we do know is that people that use the GLP-1 shots, they're losing weight. But 35% of the weight they lose is muscle mass. And so people that are probably, this may not be true for everybody, but people that are probably not moving their body and working out enough already are now losing more muscle mass. That's not a good combination for the future. So to me, I think there's a lot of unknowns. In the biohacking community, people are microdosing GLP-1, and they say it's like a neuro benefit, so a benefit to your brain.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you could probably take creatine, or you could get out in the sunlight. So between sunlight and creatine, or just like physical activity, I honestly think creatine gives you all the same benefits that probably GLP-1 does, and it's way safer and way more studied.
And cheaper.
Way cheaper. You don't have to inject yourself. You just pour some in your water or your coffee, and it's well studied. People have been using creatine for decades.
That was my whole thing with the peptide stuff. Why am I going to put a needle in myself when there's been healthy people throughout history that have never done that?
All of those peptides that you can inject yourself with, your body can make inherently. So if you're getting all the right things that your body needs, you can make all those peptides yourself. We're often doing things to overcome like modern society, because our modern society causes chaos in our body because we set it up not to help our health. We set it up for convenience.
Right.
And the more convenience we have, then the more heroics we have to go to put these foreign things into our body. But if we went back to nature, sunlight, simple things like creatine, the right type of water, eating right, like not overeating, getting enough sleep, you can make all of those things, and then you don't need to inject yourself with anything.
Everyone wants a quick fix, right?
I mean, everyone wants a silver bullet, and that's what I saw. So I've been in the biohacking space since 2009.
Wow.
And I trained with Dave Asprey back in 2015 in the first class of Bulletproof Coaches. And so I've been studying this stuff for a long time. And in that community, there's all these silver bullets, and people like keep chasing after the next supplement, the next drug, the next tech. And if any of them did what they claim, you wouldn't have to chase the next one. But all of them, I truly think, can be more beneficial if you first do the free, natural things that your body needs. And then if you still need more, those things are way more powerful.
Agreed. Yeah, there's always some magic supplement, right? Shilajit or Tongkat Ali or something.
For sure. I mean, like, you go to the Himalayas, right, and you scrape some mold off of a rock, and you make the Shilajit, and it's super sticky and tarry. But like, did our ancestors have to like find an imported mold off of a Himalayan rock, right, to be healthy? They didn't. So like, why do we need that? Like, I can tell like, right, fulvic minerals are probably super beneficial, but if you just ate like natural fruit that already took hard minerals from the ground, inorganic minerals, and made them bioavailable, could you just eat like a pear from your backyard? Like,
Right.
maybe that's healthier than Shilajit from Nepal.
Yeah. I'm sure the biohacking space has changed a lot since you first got into it in 2009.
Huge. I mean, there were almost no people that had heard of it back then. No one had heard of light. No one had heard of biohacking. Ketogenic diet was like super fringe and dangerous. I mean, my mom worked in the medical field, and all of the doctors were like, you can't eat ketogenic, it's going to kill you.
Wow.
And like 10 years later, all the doctors are eating a ketogenic diet and saying it's like the best thing ever.
I remember like when I was a kid, like fasting was like scary. You know what I mean? I was like scared to fast.
Yeah, I mean, they tell you like you have to eat, right? You have to eat 3 meals a day and don't ever be hungry because that's going to be really bad for you and you might die.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're going to die if you're used to eating meals all the time and then suddenly you don't. And so the benefits of like literally just not eating for a short period of time, and to this day, like we went from people being afraid of fasting, like all of us, the way we grew up, to now people are dry fasting for like 5 to 7 days. That's no water, no food.
That's crazy.
It's insane. Like you wouldn't have thought people could have gone. They always say like you can only go 3 days without water.
Yeah.
These guys are dry fasting for 7 days.
That's nuts.
Like how is that possible? From what we were told you would be dead.
Yeah.
And so I think we're learning way more about the human body, how resilient it is, but also that we need to experience extremes, whether it's we need to be cold once in a while. We need to allow ourselves to be hot once in a while because we can adapt to the heat. We need to allow ourselves to be flexible. We need to eat once in a while and have great big meals, and we need to not eat once in a while. Like all of these things are necessary for us to be flexible as humans. And when we constantly do the same thing all the time, the same number of calories every day, the same temperature every day, all year round, the lights are on all day, the body doesn't want that constant coddling. It needs some fluctuation.
Have you dry fasted before?
I mean, when I sleep. So I have never tried dry fasting for even a whole day. I've done water fasting for up to 3 to 4 days, but I have not personally attempted dry fast.
Yeah, I've done the water one. Dry one scares me.
You haven't done a dry fast?
No. Well, I've done water for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I felt really good after.
I think after like day 2, I typically start feeling really good. Day 1 is sometimes the hardest. Yeah. So I try to like start my fasts at dinner. So most people are even intermittent fasting. If you're only intermittent fasting for 18 hours a day or less, most people try to do it at breakfast. And that might be the wrong meal to skip, even from a circadian rhythm standpoint and a weight standpoint and like a hormone standpoint. It's better to eat breakfast. So what I find is I'll eat breakfast and lunch, and then I'll skip dinner and start my fast at dinner, whether it's intermittent fast or a multi-day fast. And then I feel like on my last day of fasting, I get to eat dinner. And so I don't have to wait till breakfast the next day. It just makes psychologically, it makes it seem easier.
Yeah, that's very smart.
How come you haven't done a dry fast before?
I'm a little scared of it, and I'm also I hit the sauna every day, so I feel like it'd be even tougher because of that.
Yeah, you may not want to be sauning.
There was actually, like, rest in peace. I don't know if you saw this. A 24-year-old died last week in a sauna.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it was really sad.
Really?
In Miami.
Did they say why?
No, but he was like a pretty known influencer, so
wow,
that like fucked me up, honestly. I didn't even think that was a possibility in a sauna.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, I don't encourage people to dry fast. I know lots of people that have dry fasted and they seem super successful with it. I had never even heard of it till 3 or 4 years ago. I think you need to be really careful if you're gonna dry fast because it's literally no hydration even.
Yeah, like I'm playing basketball. I'm like filming all day under bright lights. Like,
no, you'd want to be meditating all day and just staying outdoors.
I am gonna do a darkness retreat. Have you seen those?
I've heard of it.
You're in a cave for a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do that next year.
Did you learn that from Dave Asprey? Because I know he's done something
No, it
like
came up on my Instagram. I don't know whose post it was, but did Dave do it?
He did a set where he sat in a cave for a number of days.
Okay.
This was before he did the Bulletproof Anything. When he was trying to figure out all his own stuff, he was in a cave for, I think he says like 5 days.
Wow.
Just trying to figure all his stuff out and see what benefit it was. What do you think is going to be the benefit of a darkness retreat?
I want to reset my dopamine system. But now with what you're saying with the whole light stuff, could be additional benefits, you know?
You get dopamine from being in the sunlight. And
you do?
You definitely do. And so wearing sunglasses can dim your dopamine response. So then you crave more dopamine from your phone, from all your social media, right? Like you want those dopamine hits, which the phone, there are these patents. Anybody can look these up. And so anytime there's a public patent, I get a little questionable on whether they're real. But these patents are public under the name Hendricus Luce, and they talk about how to use screens for mind control. Like that's literally the name of the patent, is like mind control through screen use. And they were done, I think, in the late 90s to early 2000s. So whether Hendricus Luce is a made-up name or not, they talk about how to manipulate your neurotransmitters like dopamine through screen use. And so all these people with screens in front of us all the time, we've got just an altered dopamine system. And if we're wearing sunglasses outside, we crave more dopamine. So when we don't wear sunglasses, we get natural sunlight, we do get more dopamine hits by being addicted essentially to the sunlight. So like something like a darkness retreat, resetting dopamine. I mean, anytime you're off a device for multiple days, I think that's a huge, huge dopamine.
Yeah, not only that, I just had the founder of Prenuvo on. Are you familiar with that company?
I am not.
They do the full body MRIs.
Oh,
Yeah. But anyways, he was saying there's a rapid aging of the spine going on right now. And he thinks it's linked to the phone because we're just like hunched over on our phones all day.
So it's based on body posture.
Yeah.
Really?
And he's saying with young people specifically, the spines are aging 10 to 20 years.
I'd wonder about the neck too, because I mean, I've got kids, my youngest is now 14, so they're getting a little older. But what I notice with these kids is like, not only are their shoulders, like you watch them walk and their shoulders are really hunched.
Yeah.
And then I see these older people that have like a hunchback and I'm always like standing up straighter. But what I see is their heads are down. Even if they keep their posture great, your head is so heavy and it puts so much pressure on your neck. I'm curious what he would say about like just how much neck damage we're seeing.
I'm sure there's a lot. I have arthritis in my neck and my back. I'm only 28.
Wow.
You know, it's pretty scary.
And were you on devices a lot? When
I'm on my phone 8 hours a day. I'm a PC gamer, so I'm like gaming. I'm also slouching when I sit. So I think it was just accumulation of everything.
Yeah, I mean, the postures we're in all day start to fix, like your body will conform because we're so flexible like the body is, right? But it'll start to conform to the positions you put it in all day. So, I mean, even people that sit all day, not great. So then they say, well, sitting is the new smoking, but then you'll stand. But standing in one spot all day is also not good.
You can't win.
So it's like you got to do like slow movement all day, but it's hard.
You got to get the treadmill desk.
I have like under my desk, I have a pedal.
Oh,
desk.
the pedal.
So it's like I just pedal all day, and I'm like moving back and forth.
I might have to get that.
You know, it's pretty good because you can pretty much do it with people not noticing, even right here.
Yeah.
Your body might sway a little bit, and people are always asking me like, "Are you walking?" I'm like, no, I'm just pedaling.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Got to get the steps in, man.
Oh my gosh! I mean, we sit so much. Like anything you can do to move your body more, because like the blood flow, the lymph flow. So we're not moving our lymph. We're not getting that blood to flow, and so the lymph stagnates, and we wonder why we're getting more sick, and then we wonder why we have more modern diseases like EMF, the wrong type of light. We're not moving. We poison the food supply.
Yeah.
Like all these things are against us.
It's rough right now. What do you think's doing the most damage? You think it's light?
So that's a really good question. I think it's a combination. I have personally, with everything that I've studied and the benefit that I found, right? So I had massive insomnia for 16 years.
Wow.
And I had anxiety for like 25 years,
Damn.
like since the end of high school. And I limited my career. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 10 years as a research scientist. So I was in the lab mixing up pharmaceutical chemicals, and I had so much insomnia, which led to more anxiety that I just couldn't even look for another job. Like I couldn't think about talking one-on-one to somebody or giving a big presentation or interviewing. So I just sat in the pharmaceutical lab pouring these like fiber pack drums, 55-gallon drums with skull and crossbones that say cancer into a children's medicine product.
Holy crap.
And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I can't keep doing this. So what I found for me personally is like when I started addressing my light environment, things got massively better for me. My insomnia cleared up. I was able to use the energy that I had to do the inner work to help alleviate and cure my anxiety.
Wow.
Like I just didn't have capacity to do that. So for me, the most powerful tool was light. That doesn't mean that it is for everybody, but we're all biologically the same. Like in our biology, we are all sensitive to the same type of light, and we've just messed up our light environment. So I think that if people first address their light environment, then they can affect other things that they want to fix. Like if you want to lose weight, change your light environment. So I have like this analogy of a hammer, right? And Tylenol is really big in the news right now. So I'll use a Tylenol analogy. If somebody's hitting you in the hand with a hammer and you're taking Tylenol to get rid of the pain, like maybe you should think about the environment of the hammer and removing the hammer, and then you don't need the Tylenol.
Right.
So for most of us, if the light environment is causing a lot of stress on our body and causing reduction in melatonin, and our own National Institute of Health, so that's like our US government, NIH, has had the studies for decades that show artificial light exposure at night is associated with diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and obesity. They've known this for decades. Then maybe if you fix the light environment, you don't have to take the sleeping pill. 100 million people a year, no, 100 million people a day take sleeping pills.
Jeez.
That's a third of Americans. So
That's insane.
A third of us need a pill to go to sleep every night. Maybe fix the light environment so you don't need the pill. And then when you start seeing what else is a problem for you, like do you want to lose weight? Then when you do the work to fix those things, it sticks. Because we all know someone who lost weight and then gained it all back. We all know someone who's had cancer, and we all know someone who has insomnia. So fixing that light environment then allows, I think that's just the big lever that allows you to do other things in your life way easier.
You got me. Yeah, I got to change my light bulbs. You got me convinced, man.
We should be seeing firelight at night, and there are light bulbs that can mimic more of a firelight at night.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Like you just want blue light-free light bulbs. So they have amber, they have red, they have infrared. Incandescent, still not the greatest. The studies show they still reduce about 40% of your nighttime melatonin, even using an incandescent or a halogen. So they do make some LEDs that are blue light free that kind of more mimic firelight. So you can just get those. They do sell them on Amazon. We sell them on our store, but you can get them almost anywhere now. And that, I do think, if people literally just swapped out their light bulbs for healthier light bulbs, like that could be a massive change for almost everybody in our country.
Yeah, it's crazy how one little tweak like that can have such profound impacts, right?
Well, from those mouse studies, right? Light is a drug. So like if light is a drug and you're taking drugs all day long, like stop taking the drug and maybe you'll find a benefit that you never even knew that you needed.
Where can people keep up with you, get your book? Do you have a podcast too?
We have a podcast that we'll be recording season 3 of starting this winter.
Nice.
So that podcast is called the Primal Hacker Podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you can find it, including YouTube at Primal Hacker. And then our current business is focused on circadian luxury wellness for women. So a lot of the biohacker space is focused on men.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's all like bros.
That's so true. Every time I go to a biohacking event, it's like 90% guys.
It is. And, you know, interestingly, Dave Asprey's audience has started to flip to now more women, but most of the biohacking space is focused all on men. They talk to men only. There's not a lot of products that are focused on helping women. So our company is called Dreamwalkers with a Z. So it's dreamwalkers.ai. And you can find us also at Dreamwalkers AI on YouTube, where we talk all about women's health from a circadian wellness standpoint.
Check them out, guys. We'll link it below. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean.
Get
Appreciate
some
it.
light bulbs, guys. Peace.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the show a lot with the algorithm. Thank you.